I'm just tired of working so hard, being gracious at what I do, getting paid a fraction of the cost. You get tired. I hear people go, you work a lot. I'll have to. The math ain't mathing. Where's my raise? I haven't seen a raise in my income since Proud Mary. And almost had to walk away from Color Purple. Because you know what? If I don't take a stand, how am I making it easy for Fantasia and Danielle and Hallie and Felicia? Then why am I doing this? If it's all just for me, why are you here?
Unless we want to be lost in such integration. We have never been such thing as a white person unless the white man integrated and our family made us white. By nature, we are different two people. We cannot claim ourselves white if we are not born of the white. There's so many black people want to be white rather than black. Therefore, they will speak in that direction of being white. But I say it is too late unless you want to taste hellfire. It is too late. The end of the white man's time have arrived. And therefore, what rights do the black man want to go along with a person that is doomed, divinely doomed? We are the poor slaves who has been trodden down by the white race in trying to do something for self. We have not did nothing for self. I want the big white people to do something for us. I don't give 2 cents for a black man laying around Washington, Chicago, San Francisco, anywhere in the country, begging white folks to do something for him. Get out and do something for yourself. He said you are free. Take advantage of this freedom. He said that you can go for self, black man. What's hindering you if he boldly tell you in the world to go for yourself? We are trying to go for ourselves, we Muslims. Let us go to the good old earth. If the white man will sell it or lease it to us, and then get out of that earth what he has gotten out of it. We no more must do these things about laying around begging the white man for this and that. And I said to the preachers, preach the gospel of doing for self, and don't preach the gospel of begging. This is a shame for us after 400 years and 100 years up from slavery to go and beg white people to give us anything.
What do the Muslims want? This is the question asked most frequently by both the whites and the blacks. The answer to this question I shall state as simply as possible. 1, we want freedom. We want a full and complete freedom. 2, we want justice, equal justice under the law. We want justice applied equally to all, regardless of creed, class, or color. 3, we want equality of opportunity. We want equal membership in society with the best in civilized society. 4, we want our people in America whose parents and grandparents were descendants from slaves to be allowed to establish a separate state or territory of their own, either on this continent or elsewhere. We believe that our former slave masters are obligated to provide such land, and that the area must be fertile and minerally rich. We believe that our former slave masters are obligated to maintain and supply our needs in this separate territory for the next 20 to 25 years until we are able to produce and supply our own needs. Since we cannot get along with them in peace and equality after giving them 400 years of our sweat and blood and receiving in return some of the worst treatment human beings have ever experienced, we believe our contributions to this land and suffering forced upon us by white America justifies our demand for complete separation in a state or territory of our own. 5, we want freedom for all believers of Islam now held in federal prisons. We want freedom for all Black men and women now under death sentence in innumerable prisons in the North as well as the South. We want every Black man and woman to have freedom to accept or reject being separated from slave masters, children, and establish a land of their own. We know that the above plan for the solution of the Black and white conflict is the best and only answer to the problem between two people. We want an immediate end to police brutality and mob attacks against the so-called Negro throughout the United States. We believe that the federal government should intercede to see that Black men and women tried in white courts receive justice in accordance with the laws of the land, or allow us to build a new nation for ourselves dedicated to justice, freedom, and liberty. As number 7, as long as we're not allowed to establish a state or territory of our own, we demand not only equal justice under the law of the United States, but equal employment opportunities. Now, we do not believe that after 400 years of free or nearly free labor, sweat and blood, which has helped America become rich and powerful, so many thousands of Black people should have to subsist on relief or charity or live in poorhouses. 8, we want the government of the United States to exempt our people from all taxation as long as we are deprived of equal justice under the laws of the land. 9, we want equal education but separate schools up to 16 for boys and 18 for girls on the conditions that the girls be sent to women's colleges and universities. We want all Black children educated, taught, and trained by their own teacher. Under such school system, we believe we will make a better nation of people. The United States government should provide free all necessary textbooks and equipment, schools and college buildings. The Muslims teachers shall be left free to teach and train their people in the way of righteousness, decency, and self-respect. Number 10, we believe that intermarriage or race mixing should be prohibited. We want the religion of Islam taught without hindrance or suppression. And these are the demands or the wants of the Muslims of the Nation of Islam as proposed by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And happy Monday. Welcome back to On the Shoulders of Giants. I am Joseph Ward, and we're continuing our reading and review of Elijah Muhammad's message to the Black man in America. And I started on the chapter of program and position. What do Muslims want? So the overall tone, we're talking about doing for self, we're talking about separation, and I'm adding in power, acquiring power, having real power, so your demands can not only be heard, but be met and be respected. So I started off with the clip of Taraji Henson and giving perspective. The clip of Taraji Henson talking about her struggles in Hollywood. And some of the same rhetoric that Monique has had, Viola Davis, a lot of women in Hollywood have had, a lot of Black women specifically in Hollywood have had because of the rate of pay that they receive. They believe they should receive more. None of us disagrees with them. We're all in agreement with them. They should be paid more. But there's an understanding, at least I have an understanding that comes with it. When you go into somebody else's realm, especially a realm of group of people, a realm ran by a group of people who have oppressed your people historically, and you expect equality, I think that's insane. To expect equality from a group of people whose sole mission is power and control. So to expect equality from that, you're not going to get it. You're going to always be upset. Your desires will always keep you miserable. Now, creating your own platforms and doing what you need to do for you, well, that's an idea. That's what we should be doing. Imagine if Taraji Henson, Monique, Viola Davis, all the women Taraji Henson named from the Color Purple movie, all the ones who are disgruntled and feel slighted by the pay that they've received in Hollywood. Imagine all of them grouping together and creating their own thing and making movies. Who not gonna go see those movies? Who won't support those movies? I was watching the video the other day, and I agree with what the gentleman said in the video. Imagine some independent filmmakers, and I'm talking about people who know what they're doing. I'm not talking about people like myself on the level of myself who, my videography or my cinematography skills are minimal. I'm talking about people who really know what they're doing, All these people clicking up and making Black movies, telling Black stories, telling real Black stories. Black people gonna go see that. Black people will support it. Black people have showed over and over again that we support stuff. We do support stuff. You just got to entertain us right, and we'll support it. So, bam, Black people supporting that. But the way Taraji feels and the rhetoric that she has, it mirrors Black America. We expect our oppressors to give us the freedom that we desire. And that is not how it happens. Self-sufficiency is the key. Now, I do disagree with Elijah Muhammad as far as I understand his demands, but freedom, you can't demand freedom. Freedom is taken. And freedom is taken by people who have the power and the gall and the gumption to go and die for it, right? To fight for it. And if you're not willing to do that, because that is how freedom, power, autonomy, sovereignty, that's how all those things are gained in the real world. Study the real history of the world. Now, I know we have a lot of people who look at the world through a religious lens. I would say, in addition to looking at the world through your religious lens, study the actual history of the religions and study the actual history of the regions that those religions were practiced in, and study the actual history of the world. You will see how conquering is man's nature, especially the European. Conquering is their nature, right? So with these group of people, the only way your demands will be met is if they fear your wrath. They fear retaliation. They don't fear it in us. So self-sufficiency, doing for self. We once did for self in America. We can do it again. We have access to more stuff now. So picking up my reading on page 163, it is, he's talking about, these are some of the things that we Muslims want for our people in North America. And so there's another numerical list of things that Elijah Muhammad is saying that the Muslims want in North America. So number one, we believe in the one God whose proper name is Allah. Number two, we believe in the Holy Quran and the scriptures and all the prophets of God. Number three, we believe in the truth of the Bible, but we believe that it has been tampered with and must be reinterpreted so that mankind will not be snared by the falsehoods that have been added to it. 4, we believe in Allah's prophets and the scriptures they brought to the people. 5, we believe in the resurrection of the dead, not in the physical resurrection, but mental resurrection. I'm on that. We believe that the so-called Negroes are most in need of mental resurrection. Therefore, they will be resurrected first. We do need mental resurrection. We need mental resurrection like now, not right now, but right now. Furthermore, we believe we are the people of God's choice, and it has been written that God will choose the rejected and the despised. We can find no other persons fitting this description in these last days more than the so-called Negroes in America. We believe in the resurrection of the righteous. Number 6, we further believe in the judgment. We believe this first judgment will take place in as God revealed in America. Number 7, We believe this is the time in history for the separation of the so-called Negroes and the so-called white Americans. We believe that the black man should be freed in name as well as in fact. But this we mean that he should be freed by names imposed on him by his former slave masters, name which identified him as being the slave of the slave master. We believe that if we are free indeed, we should go on in our own people's names, the black peoples of the earth. And I do agree with that, but you got to free your mind first. The name change will be more significant if our minds are free. But once again, and I reiterate this, you can't replace one slave master's name with another slave master's name. Can't do that. We're not gonna act like the Arab slave trade didn't exist. Number 8. We believe in justice for all, whether in God or not. We believe, as others, that we are due to equal justice as human beings. We believe in equality as a nation of equals. We do not believe that we are equals with our slave masters in the status of freed slaves. We recognize and respect American citizens as independent peoples, and we respect their laws which govern this nation. Number 9, we believe that the offer of integration is hypocritical and is made by those who are trying to deceive the black peoples into believing that their 400-year-old open enemies of freedom, justice, and equality are all of a sudden their friends. Furthermore, we believe that such deception is intended to prevent black people from realizing that the time in history has arrived for the separation of the whites from the whites of this nation. If the white people are truthful about their professed friendship toward the so-called Negroes, they can provide it by dividing up America with their slaves. We do not believe that America will ever be able to furnish enough jobs for her own millions of unemployed, in addition to jobs for the 20 million black people. Remember, at the time, it's like 50s and between the 50s and 70s, like 20 million black people, right? We believe that we who declared ourselves to be righteous Muslims should not participate in wars which take the lives of humans. We do not believe this nation should force us to take part in such wars, for we have nothing to gain from it unless America agrees to give us the unnecessary territory wherein we may have something to fight for. 11, we believe our women should be respected and protected as the women of other nationalities are respected and protected. We believe that, number 12, we believe that Allah appeared in the person of Master W. Fard Muhammad, July 1930, the long-awaited Messiah of the Christians and the Mahdi of the Muslims. We believe further, lastly, that Allah is God, and besides him, there is no God, and he will bring about a universal government of peace wherein we can live in peace together. So one of the main things he's talking about is separation, separating the blacks from the whites. But remember, what comes with separation. So it's actually in connection to the video we put out, not this Friday, but not last Friday, but Friday before last, when we were breaking down blacks moving to the South. I disagreed with Pat and PC about the plan of blacks moving to the South. They said we should scrap the plans and get our minds together. I said, well, we could put plans together and get our minds together at the same time. But we're talking about full self-sufficiency, full independence. So nobody's doing anything for us if we're going to go with self-sufficiency. If we're going to go independence, nobody's doing anything for us. So we have to be willing to give up our lifestyles for the betterment of the whole. We have to be willing to give up our lifestyles and start over. We have to be willing to give up the resources, the access to white people's stuff to start over and create our own. Going back to Hollywood, going back to Taraji Henson. Are you willing to give up the fame to be able to have autonomy? Are you willing to give up the access to have autonomy? And if you are not willing to give up fame and access for autonomy, then you're not serious about self-sufficiency. There's always something you got to give up to get anything you want. And so now I'm getting into an explanation of what Muslims want and believe. So he says, I would like to put a little emphasis on some of what the Muslims want. If we ask you, meaning the white American slave master, for freedom indeed, I think that we are right. We use the words indeed as we have been your subjects for now 400 years, right? So releasing of ownership, a releasing of true ownership, of true mastery, or releasing of that. It's no more. Full autonomy, full independence, full freedom. This is a long time to be subject to a people or the slave of a people. 300 of those years we worked for you for nothing. In those 300 years, we were treated like your own herd of cattle. You have no regard for our human rights, so more than you did your animals. No more than you did your animals. You slashed the backs of my fathers and my mothers without any mercy. You killed them whenever you felt you wanted to, and you sweathered and you sweethearted with my grandparents. Truth hurts. You went into our grandmothers, had children by them, and then put them on the block for sale. And today you are still crossing over to our women. This should show you why we want to take leave of you today. In those days, you sold her children. You were her own sons and daughters. I'm telling you what my own grandparents told me.